Hello, welcome to my workshop. Be as confident in your business as Lady Gaga is in her meat dress. Ladies, who doesn't want to be that confident? Okay, so this is a several part training, and this part we hone in on the self care aspect, but we are not talking about your typical self care. We are going to dig in and kind of do some out of the box exploration. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of these slides very quickly because I get the feeling that this is stuff that you have seen a zillion times. It's not that it's not important, it's very important, which is why I'm keeping it in here. But again, it's probably something you've seen. So, and of course, you can always pause this if you need to or you want to come back to it. So, some of the benefits of self care are leads to increased confidence, which is really the overall idea of why we're here together. Changes how you view and feel about yourself. You experience less fear and anxiety. It can increase your motivation levels. You become much more resilient. Your relationships in all areas of your life will improve. And you create practices that eventually become habits. And here's the important piece about that, or the even more important piece, is when we create these practices, we do have to think about doing it. And we do expend some degree of energy. Now, I provide a lot of suggestions on things that you can pretty seamlessly incorporate that don't require a lot of extra time. We're talking like 5 minutes, sometimes no extra time, and extraordinarily impactful. But these practices, when done over and over and over, become habits. And then they expend next to no extra energy, which is really the kind of reason for doing it this way. Because if we're already exhausted, if we're already overwhelmed, we're already up to here with things to do we really want to add another thing to our plate? No. So when I say, hey, let's add some self-care, I wouldn't be shocked to hear that there's a bit of resistance. But what if I tell you it's not going to take any extra energy and very little extra time, if any at all? Are you a little bit more open then? We'll see. All right. So we all know what happens when we've heard why you should do self-care, why it's important, what are the benefits, and we just went over some of those. Here's what happens if you don't practice self-care. This is not a list of what could happen. In many cases, this is what is going to happen. You are going to eventually get to a place of overwhelm. And that overwhelm, if not nipped in the bud, is going to lead to burnout. That burnout is accompanied by depression, low self esteem, significant self doubt. There can be medical issues that come about, both physical and mental, and emotional instability. And you can imagine the things that leads to, how that impacts relationships, your quality of work, your quality of every single part of your day. So let's imagine that we're not going to allow ourselves to get to that place. Let's not imagine, but okay, we'll get to that point where we're going to talk more deeply about how we're going to incorporate this. But let's talk about first the types of self care. Did you know that there are 4 types of self care? There's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And physical is just what you'd imagine. It's anything that you can do with your body, but it's not just the getting up and running and walking and physical exercise or even the eating healthy. Those are all definitely types of physical self care. But what about the really, really simple, impactful things like deep breathing, deep belly breaths, body scans, where you get to hone in on what's going on with your body, what's going on with your muscles. Is there tension there that needs to be released? Those body scans they can be very quick if you need them to be. They can really be longer if you want them to be. But in a pinch, and you really need to fit it in and get some relaxation built in kind of quickly, these body scans don't have to take a lot of time to tune into what's going on with your body and to be able to attend to it pretty quickly. And so the emotional is, again, very much what it sounds like. It deals with your feelings. The mental is very closely related to the emotional. They are in most cases, a lot of these things overlap, but there is a difference between the mental and emotional. And the mental boundaries are those things that are going on in our head, the thoughts that we're having, the impact of the thoughts is typically the emotional that we experience. But before we even experience an emotion around something, particularly if we're trying to avoid experiencing an emotion around something, we can attend to the emotional self-care piece. So we can attend to those thoughts before they have a significant emotional impact on us. Not just our own thoughts, but thoughts that are being shared with us or in our space that we're coming across in the news, on social media, things like that. And then the spiritual. And this can be religious, it doesn't have to be. It is very much about connecting to your higher power, whatever that might be. So that might be a divine entity, that might be the earth, that might be nature. It's different for everybody, and there's no wrong answer here. But it is about getting intentional about taking the time to be in that space with your higher power. Okay, from my perspective, and I'm not ashamed to share, this is what self care should be. It should absolutely be intentional, built into your schedule with alerts so that it never gets overlooked, it never gets forgotten, and it's never an afterthought. You have those alerts built in, and when they go off, it's not, there's no question. That's the thing that you go and do because you've promised yourself that you would. And it's very important to keep your promise to yourself. So, self care should be mindful. When you attend to self care, you should be in the moment with whatever you're doing. And that's where we can incorporate some very, very simple self care activities where we don't take extra time out of your day. It's about quieting the mind, relaxing the body, and being in the present moment. So, everyday activities can actually become a form of self care for you. It's things you're doing anyways. So, again, no extra time, no extra energy. You're already doing these things. But during those times, bringing your mind, your presence into that moment. Self-care can be enjoyable. It should be enjoyable, relaxing, energizing, rejuvenating, and it should really be a seamless habit. Again, so you're not expending extra energy and you don't have to think too hard about it. It's just a thing that you've incorporated simply. So I said I was going to go through the slideshow portion pretty quickly, and I think I did, at least for me, it was quick. And here's why. Because while I shared things that I do think were very important, I also think it's a lot of stuff that you have probably already heard before. So I wanted to ensure that it was reinforced and that it was at the top of your mind, but I really wanted to save time for something else that I wanted to dig in with you. And that's this. Self-care is not just about relaxing the mind and relaxing the body. Self-care is not just about managing good health. It's very much about those things. And here's the truth. When I speak to clients about the things we talk about, which for me is confidence building for the most part with clients, it is about focusing on themselves because as women, as mothers, we do spend so much time focusing on others. And so in sessions, I do bring clients into a space where I do want them to look at what is in it for them. But here's the cold, hard truth. As a mother, I think I can speak for most of us. And if I can't, discard it. That's how I always feel. If what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, get rid of it. But if it does, you may want to listen in. As a mother, I know that the more that I care for myself, I am also going to be able to care for my children. And so it does come back to them and how I feel about how I'm showing up for them. And I think you could probably relate to this. And more so than me having the energy right now in this moment to care for them, or to have it tomorrow to care for them, or even next week. And so everything they're absorbing from me, not just my current energy, what are they learning that they're going to take away and incorporate into their own lives? So right now, my children are small, they're elementary school aged. But everything that they're learning from me now, that they're absorbing, that they're watching, that they're witnessing, that they are experiencing through me, they're going to take that into adulthood with them. And what are they going to do with that? They're going to think that is what's normal because that is what they experienced as normal growing up. Now, my question is, do you want their normal, what they witness from you, to be hustle, grind, go, 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 burnout, exhaustion? This is just what we do to get through our day. When you picture your children as adults, is that how you want them to go through adulthood? Hustling, grinding, exhausted, always showing up for others, but never for themselves. Yes, showing up for others, because in a lot of ways that's honorable. But what about the way they show up for themselves? Are you showing them how to do that through your own actions? And for me, so much of self-care, why I talk about self-care, it does come down to that. It's not just here and now, today, tomorrow, or even next week. It's about 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when those little ones that we love with everything that we have, everything we do is ultimately for them. So if we're not showing up for ourselves today, we are not showing up for them in the future. I don't know about you, but for me, that's enough to take a good hard look at how I'm treating myself, how I'm engaging in my self-care, and what I'm showing my children is normal. And so my challenge to you is to think about this. And to what degree are you able, willing, and ready to make changes so that you are showing up for you, but you're also setting the example for those little ones who are going to carry that with them.